So you are a competitor and all you can dream about is becoming a pro. It's like such an exciting accomplishment, isn't it? I know, because when I first started competing, that's like literally all I thought about. I wanted to be an IFBB pro and I wanted to compete at the Olympia. And a lot of that for me was driven by the influences that I had in the earlier days of bodybuilding when I used to watch it on television ad nauseum in the 80s and in the 90s. All of the biggest fitness celebrities were all pros. So I thought for myself, if I want to have a certain level of success in fitness, I've got to turn pro. And maybe you're under that same impression as well. But I'll tell you, when I became an actual IFBB pro, my perspective changed a lot. And that's the conversation that I want to have with you today. I feel like so many competitors are racing to earn that pro card without truly understanding what bodybuilding is all about and the sport of it in and of itself. So I hope that we can clear some things up, answer some questions that you have, and just give you the motivation that if you want to turn pro, that you know exactly what you're getting into and how to make it happen. If you are new to my channel, I want to welcome you. Be sure that you subscribe right now and you hit the bell notification so that way when I release new videos, you absolutely do not miss a thing. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up right now. Be sure to stick around to the very end of this video because I have a great free resource for those of you who are competitors and you're looking to take your training, your nutrition, and everything to the next level. And if you're interested in working with me, I'll also tell you how you can go ahead and get that started. If you're a returning subscriber, I want to welcome you back. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you are meeting me for the very first time, my name is Roxy Beckles, and let's just go ahead and jump right in. So the first thing that I want to clarify is the question about what does it mean to turn pro in 2020 and beyond? You see, there was a point in fitness where the ones who really found success, let's say in the media, getting magazine editorials and covers, those who were able to write for magazines or appeared on television or anything public facing, those were mostly a lot of pros, and more specifically, a lot of them were IFBB pros. But we've come a long way since those days. I mean, nowadays, all you really need to do to get any kind of exposure is literally have an Instagram. You literally just need a cell phone or maybe even a YouTube channel, if that. And as long as you have a great shape, a nice personality, and something that people connect to, then you can actually have a pretty successful career in fitness without ever earning a pro card. If you look around, a lot of the top fitness influencers and trainers and people that are out there are actually not even pros in any federation. A lot of them don't even compete. And when it comes to legit magazine work or anything like that, again, you're not seeing professional competitors out there with the top slots. A lot of the times, it's these influencers that you know, that you've seen around, who are getting all of the parts and the roles and the spotlight that was once leveraged for those who were competitors. So it goes back to that question once again. What does it mean to turn pro in any federation in 2020 and beyond? One of the things that I will say is that turning pro is a really great way to build your platform. Let's face it, the bodybuilding world is the biggest it's ever been, and with the introduction of these new divisions, everyone literally has a place to compete should they want to. And all eyes are always going to be on the pro level shows. So if you get out there and you do really well, and even if you don't do really well, because one of the biggest secrets in the past was that the top pros weren't even the ones who were on the magazine pages or anything like that. It's always the ones who had a more marketable look. And a lot of the times that marketable look means that you're not a top competitor. You have a body or a look that's more relatable, particularly when we're talking about the women's side of the sport. But getting out there as a pro allows you to step on stage and be seen. And having the title of a pro gives you a little bit more authority if you're looking to get into training, if you're looking to get into coaching, because you've done the work, you've paid the dues, and it was not easy for you to get there. So that's going to lead me to the next thing that I want to ask you, the second question that I want to bring up for you, which is, what are your expectations from turning pro? Like, what do you expect to get from the industry? If you think that turning pro is like this magic ticket to a higher income and you're gonna be earning money as a pro, and when you compete, you're gonna be getting all kinds of prize winnings and money, and the sponsorships are gonna start coming in, I'm going to burst your belt bubble and say that is not the case. There is no money in being a pro, except for the case a lot of the times for the men. Now, the men's side of the sport is a completely different thing. And even with today's standards, things are changing even for them. I mean, people are willing to sell protein powder to their audience in exchange for t-shirts and exposure. So that is affecting everyone in the industry. But as far as prize money and earnings, yeah, that's not going to really come from you stepping on a stage. Even within the women's divisions of the sport, let's talk about with the IFBB, for instance. I mean, I think the top prize sometimes for a lot of first place competitors is somewhere around $1,000 to $1,500, which is, you know, that's nothing to scoff at. But when you think about all the money that you've put in just to get ready for that one show with coaching, travel costs, preparation, and all that stuff, it kind of doesn't really cover all of that at all. You don't even really break even. And for the newer divisions, the prize earnings could be even less. On the men's side of the sport, they get to have $5,000, $10,000 or more for first place. So do you see how there's like this double standard there? So you really have to see that becoming pro is not going to be your magical lottery ticket at all. But I will say that if you are business savvy, that you can foray that into earnings however you want. So yes, having the label of pro can add more money to your bottom line if you know how to market yourself and put yourself out there as something of value. Kind of like what I do. So there's hope for those of you out there who want to use your title in a way to build your business and your brand. Now, the next question that I have for you when it comes to what it takes to turn pro is really the question of, what are you willing to do? Depending on your federation, you're going to come to a point in your competitive career where you have to ask yourself what lines in the sand you are willing to draw and what you're willing to cross. And when I say that, I'm asking you, are you willing to take steroids, or do you want to remain as a natural athlete? For any of you that follow the sport, particularly on the side of the NPC and IFBB, but trust me, listen, they are not the only federation out there that is influenced by drug usage in the women's side of the sport or for the men's side. And that's kind of like the big elephant in the room that everybody knows is there, but nobody talks about. And when I'm talking to competitors who have that goal of turning pro, these are questions that we have to answer. Are you willing to cross certain lines that you might not have ever thought you had to cross? When you're looking at these pictures of these pros and you're like, wow, they really inspire me, I want to look like that. And you're just thinking that they're doing diet and training and cardio and protein powder, yeah, you're in for a rude awakening. So you have to really decide what it is that you want to do. If you want to remain a lifetime natural, perhaps trying to go for an IFBB pro card, depending on the division that you're trying to be in, may not be right for you and your personal genetics. So maybe it's time for you to look into one of the natural organizations, which are still very important, very prominent as the IFBB, and decide that that's where you're going to take your career for your own purposes and ethics. The next question kind of ties into what I was just talking about, and it's going to be a big determining factor whether or not you actually can turn pro, and that is, what are your genetics? Now, I would love to say that everybody gets a participation trophy. You get a pro card, you get a pro card, everybody gets a pro card, but honey, that is not realistic. The truth of the matter is that whether there are steroids or not involved in the equation, the pros will always be the pros. If you took everything out of the equation as far as the variables that's going to make someone look bigger or harder, the pros will still be the pros. And a lot of that has to do with genetics, with what you were born with the genes that your parents gave you. I mean, yes, anyone can work to improve their X frame or to bring up muscularity or to get harder, but at the end of the day, your shape and how you were born is going to determine whether or not you can even earn the rights to be on the pro level stage. The truth of the matter is that many of you will want to earn a pro card and get to that next level, but very few of you will actually get there. Even though it seems like they give out pro cards like lollipops, they say, well, just think about how much bigger the industry is now versus decades ago when it was a lot harder to turn pro. And actually, I don't think it's any different than it was decades ago. You have so many more competitors. I mean, in the NPC alone, there can be about 2,000 or more competitors in a single national level show. I know that that's where the numbers were hitting when I was turning pro back in 2013. So I can imagine now, 7 years later, how much bigger these shows are. particularly given all of the divisions that we now have. So although 40 or 50 competitors might turn pro in a single show, that's 40 or 50 out of 1,000 people. So the percentages are actually not in your favor. And with the size of the industry is now, and all the different coaches that are out there, it's not even a matter of politics at this time, because we've all seen people who come on stage, earn their pro card, you've never heard of them or heard of their coach before. So it's hard work, ladies, and it's a genetic factor as well. And this is where some of you are gonna have to get really real about your prospects and swallow that pill that you may never get there. But don't let that stop you from still trying to bring your best. And even if you never earn a pro card, if you only compete on the amateur level, be the best that you can absolutely be, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter whether you get that pro card or not. So now we come back to the final question. How long should it take for you to earn your actual pro card? And really, there's no answer for that. Some people are like genetic freaks of nature, and they do 1 or 2 shows and then they turn pro. And then there are other people who have worked their butts off for years and years and years, and then they finally have that opportunity to turn pro. They break through. The thing about bodybuilding is that you can't be so outcome driven that you put a time limit on things. Like, I want to turn pro within my first 2 seasons, or I want to turn pro in 3 to 5 years. Yeah, that's great and all, but bodybuilding is so much more beyond that. Bodybuilding is a lifestyle. It's a way of living. It's a way of eating. It's a way of training. And at the end of the day, it's all about always pushing yourself to the best that you can be. And if you earn that pro card in the process, that's like the icing on the cake. So who knows how long it will take you? It took me about 3 years to turn pro. And as I shared in other videos, I started off in the figure division and I turned pro in women's physique. When I decided to become a physique competitor, the first season in the game, I did not get my pro card, although I came very close. But by the second season, when I went out there again and I was really ready to go out there and shine, I earned my IFBB pro card. In fact, I won my class. And when it came down to the overall, it was like 1 and 2. I was in the middle, but another competitor did beat me out for the overall at Team Universe that year. But it was a beautiful experience. And through turning pro, as you guys know, I've also had the opportunity to compete at the Olympia. And I'm really thankful for that. A lot of you have found me because of the platform that being a competitor has allowed me to have, and to expand my audience beyond my wildest dreams. And I would never exchange those experiences for the world. And who knows, maybe one day you'll see me again on the pro stage. I never say never. But the one thing that I can teach you, and the thing that I want to share with you today, is that you got to enjoy the process and never give up. There were times where I went back to my room after bombing on the national level and just cried my eyes out. Told my mom, because she went with me to every show, I'm not going back to finals, I'm not doing this anymore, I quit. And if I would have quit, I wouldn't have gotten to where I had gotten to. So don't quit. If it's your goal, make it happen, but also be realistic in knowing that nothing is guaranteed and that you just have to keep trying until your dreams become your reality, or you see a different reality and your place within the industry. Well, that's it. I hope that today's video was very helpful for you, enlightening and inspiring too. I shared with you that if you stay to the very end of this video, that I'll have some free resources for you. And what I want to invite you to is to come on and get your copy of my contest prep crash course. It's absolutely free. And it's filled with some great advice for those of you who are looking to get on stage and do it in a very sane and healthy way. Come on over to my website, enter your information, and get that download right now. And for those of you who are in the market for working with a new coach and you want to work with me specifically, let's go ahead and get on the phone and talk about your specific goals. Come onto my website, rockstarfitness.com/claritycall, fill out your application, and then set your appointment to speak with me one-on-one, where we'll talk about exactly where it is that you see yourself 8 weeks from today, 12 weeks from today, 6 months from today. What is it that you really want to achieve when it comes to your fitness? And then I also want to know what has been holding you back from getting that. We're going to come up with some solutions. And if you and I feel like we are the perfect match to work together, then I'll go ahead and tell you how you can get started in becoming a rock star. Be sure to subscribe right now, hit the bell notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.